Good day everyone. From Rizal Technological University, I am Tiffany of Manarang, the lead author of this study entitled Evaluating the Efficacy of Portion-Loss Method in Improving Quadratic Equation Solving Skills of Students. I will be the one presenting this study on behalf of my co-authors, which are Elexis Maureen P. Dumangas, Michelle R. Magdamit, together with Dr. Rolando B. Magat Jr., and this study was being done and defended this past May 27, 2024. So the Philippines received an overall score of 353, placing it in 74th out of 79 participating countries and economies in the PISA 2023 evaluation. And compared to the previous PISA results from 2018, where the Philippines scored of 352 and ranked 75th, this represents a minor increase. However, from what O'Connor and Norton conducted a mixed methods research of secondary students, they discovered weaknesses in factual knowledge, procedural fluency, and conceptual comprehension. This global perspective highlights the universality of the issues connected with quadratic equations. And based on what Vasquez studied from 2021, students who are not proficient in algebra may find it difficult to simplify and manipulate quadratic expressions, use the right techniques to solve quadratic equations, and understand the answers in relation to the problem. These noted difficulties lead to necessity of investigating other pedagogical approaches. So portion-loss method is one such approach that is easy to use, straightforward, and applicable to any quadratic equation. His approach focuses on the idea that the quadratic equation's two roots are symmetrically centered around the average of the roots, or negative b over 2a. So we use the theory of conceptual learning, which goes beyond simply learning facts and procedures, where it includes learning the meaning and structure, and also the linkages of mathematical concepts, as well as being able to use them flexibly and creatively in many contexts. We also use the theory of problem solving in mathematics education that focuses on how students participate and learn from solving mathematical issues that call for more than the standard application of well-known techniques. And this is our conceptual framework. Our conceptual framework examines the effects of different solving methods, which are the factory, completing the square, the quadratic formula, and portion-loss method on test scores. It also takes feedback and time spent on quadratic equation problems into account. So since our study was examining the new method, our target is to propose a detailed lesson plan for teaching quadratic equations using portion-loss method. The main goal of the study is to evaluate the effectiveness of portion-loss method of solving quadratic equations in improving grade 9 students' test scores and time spent working with quadratic equations. So the research will specifically aim to address the following questions. Number 1, what is the performance of participants in their pretest with regards to their test scores and time working with quadratic equation? Is there significant difference in the performance in the pretest of the respondents in terms of test scores and time working with quadratic equations? What are the challenges encountered by the respondents in solving quadratic equations? What is the performance of their students in their post-test with regards to their test scores and time working with quadratic equations? Is there any significant difference in the performance in the pretest and post-test respondents in terms of test scores and time working with quadratic equations? And what is the feedback solicited from the respondents after using the portion-loss method of quadratic equations? And our hypothesis will be there is no significant difference in the performance and in the pretest and post-test of the respondents in terms of test scores and time working with quadratic equation. In this mixed method 4-group quasi-experimental study, students are given quadratic equations to answer using factoring, completing the square, quadratic formula, and portion-loss approach. The study's respondents comprise 4 sections of grade 9 students that are enrolled in Sagad High School for 2023 and 2024 academic year. In this study, homogeneous purposive sampling was employed, and these respondents are appropriate because in accordance with the most essential learning competencies, Quadratic equations are taught at this grade level and are in line with the Philippine curriculum. The researchers developed instruments that underwent comprehensive verification for validity and reliability as confirmed by expert evaluation. So the KR20 was used for the grade 9 pre-test and post-test and has a reliability coefficient of 1.6202 and a content validity index of 0.8. The arithmetic mean, standard deviation, the means test for homogeneity of variance, one-way ANOVA, and Sheffield post-hoc test will be all used in the statistical analysis of the data. Inductive thematic analysis will be used in data analysis to find themes and patterns in the responses. So the pre-test analysis reveals that although the factoring method received the lowest mean score and the quadratic formula the highest mean score, all approaches demonstrated insufficient improvement, suggesting no significant overall enhancement in the performance. So students took a long time, on average 20 to 28 minutes, to answer quadratic equations. This shows how frequently students struggle with these foundational math ideas and raises possibly that more effective teaching strategies are required. One-way ANOVA and Sheffield post-hoc test results showed that students' scores differed according to the type of instruction they received, indicating that previous exposure affected their performance. Students required quite different amounts of time to solve quadratic equations. It's possible that this is because some strategies were more known to them than others, like Poisson-Loss method. So the respondents listed a few challenges they faced, including the understanding and recalling the equation, initial difficulty, but they eventually recall. They remember old lessons. They have erratic expansions. They have difficulties and confusion. They also have a feeling of success, support, and teaching. And lastly, the practical application. So they enhance understanding and recall. Initially difficulty, but eventually recall, remembering old lessons, knowledge expansion, difficulty with factoring and matching numbers, difficulty with negatives, difficulty in solving, feeling of success in substitution, and working through the quadratic equation of full of emotions, feeling success and participation, happy to improve their knowledge, help for teaching others, easier with guidance, practical relevance for future teaching, relevance depending on career, and students demonstrated a preference for factoring in the quadratic formula procedures after learning, as seen by their improved performance on the task, mean scores of 19.08 and 18.18, transmitted score of 85 and 86. Even while the quadratic formula and completing the square method were marginally faster, suggesting that they might be more effective, students still required a lot of help to get better. And the methods that students employed resulted in significant differences in their performance and efficiency. Students who finished completing the square approach produced higher results, while those who utilized Poisson-Loss method took longer, probably because they were not familiar with it. Following their use of Poisson-Loss quadratic equation methodology, respondents provided input on variety topics include the perceived complexity of the method, its effective use of the challenges faced, and its educational values. So the study assessed the effectiveness of Poisson-Loss method to improve the ability of quadratic equation and discover traditional approaches. Specifically, the quadratic formula were superior to Poisson-Loss method. So traditional methods remain predominant despite the potential demonstrated by Poisson-Loss method and its great instructional support. But using innovative strategies like Poisson-Loss in addition to efficient instruction techniques can improve math abilities. So we suggest they study that if a certain method is unclear for learners, they should not afraid to approach teachers and peers for clarification. They should attempt to understand the fundamental ideas behind each method rather than memorizing its steps. For the teachers of mathematics should draw attention to the learners the value of comprehending the why behind each technique. So particularly when teaching the novel like PO-SHEN method. So student performance data and feedback can be used to the curriculum developers to assess the curriculum's efficacy on regular basis. By using the results of this study, the curriculum developers can amend the curriculum as needed to get better results. So mathematical teachers can adopt the suggested detailed lesson plan that the researchers use to teach PO-SHEN law, which has a potential to help learners to improve their capacity to solve problems. So future researchers should conduct further research on innovative methods like PO-SHEN law to explore their long-term effectiveness and potential improvements. Researchers can explore various teaching methods and their impact on learners' comprehension and output, identify effective methods, and understand students' perception of different approaches, enabling targeted treatments for future research. So since PO-SHEN law's method has potential to improve solving skills of students, we created the proposed detailed lesson plan, and it will be beneficial for educators if PO-SHEN law's method in solving quadratic equations was to be part of our curriculum. So PO-SHEN law's method will be beneficial by fostering a deeper understanding of mathematical concepts through innovative, intuitive solving techniques that encourage creative and critical thinking, especially to the 21st century learners. So thank you very much for listening.